Alright, this might look familiar, especially if I do that. In any event, let's get to it. Week 40, nice round number. Alright. Oh, this was locked. That's weird. Got the protective masks protecting everybody. Oh, that battery's no good. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. This here is a 2007 Cadillac Escalade. Customer states, I only have heat intermittently, and I changed the thermostat last month. Can you guys tell me why I only have heat intermittently? And we said, sure, we'll take a look at it. He didn't mention the tire light being on, the traction light being on, the stability. And I don't know who put the thermostat in, but someone has changed the thermostat, the customer admitted, about a month ago. He seems to think he has a little more heat now than before, but it's still not right. I'm gonna look at the cooling system, then I'm gonna grab the scanner and see what kind of codes we might have in the HVAC. Automatic AC, so it has a module, and it'll give you some data and codes. Went out under the hood, coolant level's full right at the top. Perfect on the max line. So whoever put the thermostat in it at least topped the coolant up correctly. So now I'm gonna go in the HVAC. I also felt the heater hoses and they feel warm on both sides pretty good right now. It's only run a few minutes. So what I might do is get my infrared temp gun and check the temperature of the two heater hoses going in and out of the dash once I run it a little bit more. But first, I'm going to check for codes in the HVAC modules. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of codes. Had to go in and grab the pen. This is going to take a minute. All right, let's see what we can see for temperatures. I've got two heater hoses here. I can only see one. The one hose is not reading. One hose is hot, one hose is not. That tells me there's a restriction in the heater core. It's got to be a restriction in the heater core. Also, one way you can tell on these, because the heater core will get a little warm if there's a little bit of flow. When I first put the heat on max auto, at first it was warm for a minute, and then it only lasted about 10 seconds. It cooled right off. So that tells me that the heater core is getting hot water to it, but it's inefficient because it's not flowing enough. Because it'll actually cool down the heater core really quick when the fan blows over it if it's inefficient, you know. It's just like a radiator. When it gets clogged up, it doesn't give off heat. This thing needs a heater core, and there are other issues. I started writing down codes, and I kind of ran out of room, started running out of ink. It's also got a bad battery. I doubt that we're going to end up going that far with it, but we'll see. And we'll come back, and we'll make more footage if we get the authorization for repairs. All right, we're going to do this O2 sensor in this Hyundai. It's kind of weird. They give you the copper anti-seize, but when you take the cap off the oxygen sensor, you get a little surprise. More anti-seize. Kind of strange. I don't know why they'd give you a tube of anti-seize with it. And I prefer the copper, but they've already put gray stuff on it. So, we store that in the old chemical storage drawer. Just note too, guys, that if you're doing these, be real careful not to drop them. There's pretty sensitive electronics in there, like a spark plug. You don't want to drop it. Looks pretty simple. Screws in down here. Just got to pop this wiring harness out. Grab the connector. Oh, wait a second. They connected it backwards for fun. So you got to undo the connector on this side. It's got a Euro style connector, and then you got to force it out of this metal bracket. Well, I say force, but I really mean take it out properly. I find that the best way to unplug these, hope you guys can see that, is with a pocket screwdriver. Just pry it up. It comes right off. Because squeezing these tabs down enough to release it is like almost impossible unless you got Hulk arms. I used to be able to do it when I was in my younger days. Now this should pop out of this bracket pretty easily. I think there's a little plastic clip on it. I don't see it or feel it. I think it might be press fit. Get this tool. Show it some love. There you go. I keep trying to snap on oxygen sensor tool just because it was so expensive. I've got a lot of money in it. I want it to work. Although it lets me down most of the time. I tend to always try it first before I give up on it. Goodness gracious, the whole studio blew apart in a moment's time. Woo. No can do. Let's see if the old gear wrench XP120 has enough leverage for this thing. It's either gonna loosen it or bad stuff's gonna happen, one or the other. Oh, wait a second, now I can't swing it. There's no room. Ugh. Goodness gracious. Something happened. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Now, if I hold my lip right and a little bit dancing, oh, we're good. This thing's a monster. Look at that thing. It just goes on and on for miles. Ugh. My goodness. The threads on this thing did not want to turn. Look how rich it is. It's all sooted up because it was telling the computer it's lean. So, feeling real good about this repair. Let's put that new one in. Oh, take off your protective cap first. That's way down there. You guys can't even see it. It's tucked in this heat shield. Here it is. Put my finger in the hole so I can find it. What I find on these is you got to nurse that harness around as you turn the O2 sensor. You got to keep turning the harness because otherwise it fights you and it wants to spring back. Try to show this thing who's boss. I'll give you guys an even better view. What do you think about that? I want to make sure you crush that gasket. Get a good seal. There is a torque spec. I don't know what it is. I usually just go beep and then I know it's torqued pretty well. We'll put this in here before we bother with the metal snaps. I want to make sure it's in this bracket. Make sure it's clicked in all the way. Now we take care of our harness. Pretty cut and dry. Make sure it's not going to touch anywhere. And we're good. She declined the induction service part of it, which I wanted to do as well because of the rough idle and the misfire at 2,000 RPM, the stumble. But she's going to come back for that because it takes about an hour and a half. We're done with this one. It's pretty funny, the guy with the Cadillac Escalade. He's pretty stoned out of his mind. He's like, oh, dude. Could you just blow out the heater core, man? And can you help me out, blow out the heater core, man, so I don't have to replace it? I mean, people just don't know, so. It's headed out of here. It's got its hair on fire. It's like 14 hours labor. Now I'm doing a Honda CR-V. See? You don't believe me? Honda's brake. I'm just kidding. It's getting in alignment. Looks like they put new tires on it. It's got the Mako paint job on there. Really sketchy. These usually fade and peel pretty bad. What's really weird, I think this is a 2013. And they got a cheap paint job on it. That's kind of sad. Probably like a used car lot. I don't know. Speculation on my part. Let's go ahead and line this thing up. What do you guys say? Not too bad at all. A little bit of toe in the left rear, a little bit of camber. Let's see here. Does not specify rear camber adjustment. Uh-oh. It shows 2-bolt struts in the cartoon. Let's lift this thing up, take a look. Well, there is no camber kit happening on this one. You got to change that upper arm to an adjustable upper arm on these, or put an eccentric bushing in, one or the other. 17 on that side. I thought it'd be 17 on both sides. They're tricky, guys. Yeah, it's a 14. Let's see here. See how much I moved that wrench? That's it. Lock that down. Now it's even from left to right. I literally moved that wrench like this. Perfect. Look at that. Take you guys up there with me. That's a little better. Camber's the only thing left now. It's just barely out of spec, 3/10. See if they want to mess with that. This is the component you need to adjust the camber in the rear, but they're not going to mess with it. It's only a couple of tenths, and this part with the labor is about $300 or $400. All right, another broken Honda. What are we doing, man? All the broken Hondas today. This is a, I think it's a 2011 Honda Odyssey with 116,171 on the clock. That's about 1/10 of the life expectancy since it's a Honda, and they never break, according to the internet. But in any event, I'm going to put a headlight in this thing. I don't know if that's a bulb or an assembly yet. They haven't been very clear. It pays 1 hour. Should be fairly easy, I'm guessing. Get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I don't know. It seems a little excessive for an hour to me, but we're going to adjust that labor. Trust me. It's getting blown apart, getting 2 new headlamp assemblies, wiper blades. This thing's, it's a regular customer who's done the brakes and all, so the safety inspection is going to be quick and easy. Sometimes when nice don't work, you gotta get mean. It's quite a big hole where the headlight goes. I didn't take this one out yet, but apparently this bracket kind of holds it in, so the headlight's kind of behind it, so you got to take the bracket out with it. Replacing it because it leaks water, apparently. I'm guessing by the silicone, that's why. Yeah, it's a little bit of a sketchy fit, but yeah, it's like a spring steel, that's all. Not the musician, the metal. Everything kind of lines up, like the car was in an accident at some point or something. There you go. Had that bracket bolted on from underneath. You can get to it with a ratchet, but you can't take the headlight off without removing it anyway, so slide that into a little holder. This rubber cushion for this headlight gets in the way of the connector. I have to show this thing who's boss. See what I'm saying? It goes right in after you show it who's boss. These little pins in the fender, these little slots that they go into. It's exciting. It's a good thing Hondas don't break because they're not easy to work on. I'm thinking these aftermarket headlights don't really fit that good. Ugh. They're really not as bad. It sounds, when I first started doing them this way, I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? And then I realized most cars, about 10 minutes you can get the bumper off. So sprayed all these with a little bit of deep creep, and they come right apart and go right together that way. And the only ones that broke are the super fragile ones that there's no saving. A little bit of WD-40, deep creep works better, but WD-40 in there before you try to take them apart, and they'll pop right apart. When they're all dry and gritty, that's when they snap. Impact cam. You guys tell me if you like the impact cam. There's a lift cam. That's a first. Shop's going up, or is the car going down? I'm gonna say that's a win. What the heck? Oh no! Someone's stealing my Dodge Avenger. This is what the heck? Sheesh. This here is a 2013 Dodge Avenger with 147,984 miles on it. We're gonna find out why it's overheating. Customer thinks the fan's not working intermittently. I'm gonna get this thing in here, I'm gonna hook my scanner up, I'm gonna use my bi-directional control to run the fan repeatedly and see if it acts up. That's a thing of beauty. Got the venerable 2.4 liter with the dual VVT setup. That's how you know it's high performance. This thing's filthy, like it goes through sand and dirt a lot. The customer said he thinks it's the fan, but there's no coolant in the hose and the overflow's low. Something's fishy around here. Well, it took almost a gallon of coolant. The question is, did it push it out because the fan doesn't work sometimes, or does it have a leak? And the answer to that is it has a leak. That water outlet housing is leaking on the back of the cylinder head, and I don't even have pressure on it yet. It's running water down on the transmission. I put a little coolant in it thinking it was just the fan, but it looks like the customer's been adding water. I am still going to run the fan just to verify it works too, but it's going to need a water outlet housing right there. Go ahead into PCM, go into actuation test, and we're going to go to our radiator fans. Start the actuator. Yes. Okay. Let's work on that one. All right. Toggle is what I kind of want. See if it does. If it goes without. Let's try the other speed. Keeps on working. Radio condenser fan 2 on. Sounds almost like the same speed. That's kind of weird. Looks like an add-on relay of some sort. That might be a factory part. It's hard to tell. Dodge, you know. Well, fans are working. I'm ending that thing. I'm ending you. Command is finished. That's right, you're ended. Okay. So I'm thinking what's happening is the coolant crossover, thermostat housing, outlet, water outlet housing, whatever you want to call it. That thing leaking. When the coolant goes too low, it'll overheat and percolate because it's not going to turn the fans on if the coolant temperature sensor is not getting hot coolant on it. So that's a possibility. Could also have an intermittent problem with the fans or the fan relay or something like that, but at this point I'll probably test it a few more times, but I'm gonna have them write them an estimate for that water outlet housing, and while I play with the fans and try to get them to act up as well, and we'll see what happens. Let's get the throttle up here a little bit on this here HHR. There we go. It's a little between a third and a half a can. I'll let it sit about 10 minutes and soak into the valves, into the carbon on the valves, and then we'll run the rest of the can through. Alright, now the second chemical's going through. Nice and slow, a little trickle. You can barely see it coming through the bulb. Down the hose. Coming to the bottom of the bottle. That's about it. Barely picking up some straggling bubbles. Make sure there's not a lot caught in the intake before we shut it off. I grab the scanner, clear out the check engine light. I'll take it for a little drive, and this thing will be done. No codes present. If it don't dodge, ram it. Alright guys, this is here for check engine light on. So, you know, we're gonna hook up Mr. Snappy and see what he thinks about the whole situation. See if this Cummins has got issues. If you guys want to know what I think, I'm going to guess it either has EGR codes or something to do with the DEF system. Silly me, I put this in as a Dodge, as a 2016, and the Snap-on scanner said, whoa, the VIN doesn't match. Well, then put in whatever the VIN says, dumbass. So I had to go to 15, and then I'm looking in 15 under Dodge Ram, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right, it's not under Dodge, it's under Ram. So the Snap-on scanner for $6 grand can't discern the year or the make, even though it's doing automatic VIN. It's pretty funny. Is that just me that thinks that's funny? Maybe I'm laughing by myself. This is a 15 now. Let's not let it freak out and have the wrong year. Now, after telling it what the year is and the make is, now it goes into automatic ID. Isn't that funny? I think it is. Let's see what kind of fiascos this thing's gonna put us through. Oh, look at those codes up in the engine modular. This is P249E. Closed loop reductant injection control at limit. Flow too high. That tells me it's spraying too much reductant. It's not happy about it. SCR NOx catalyst efficiency below threshold bank 1. That code is P20EE. So I'm gonna have to go inside and look those codes up, see what the common causes are and where we go from here. All right, guys, the front desk said just clear the codes for now. We'll see if they come back. I'm like, well, what do you think the codes happen in the first place? Because something's wrong. They don't just happen. You know, whatever. So the codes are cleared. Look at that. No codes present. Boom. Upside Dodge Ram. Turn the key off for a couple seconds and start the engine. Make sure that check engine light's out. Look at that. It even runs better. It even runs better. No codes. All right. We'll go through a drive cycle and set the light on again. There's apparently updated catalyst that eliminates the ammonia sensor, and there's a programming update, and you cut the connector out of the harness and shrink wrap it all and put it up away where someone doesn't see a connector that's not plugged in. And then there's also a flow test for the DEF injector. You pull it out of the SCR catalyst and you check it for flow. It's supposed to be between like 2.8 and 3.8 ounces of fluid that it sprays during the test, which takes about 6 minutes. So the front desk, they didn't want to really do all that just yet tonight, so we're going to talk to them about it at the place that owns these trucks and see what they want to do, because we can't do the programming anyway. It's going to have to go to Dodge or a mobile guy, and lately all the mobile guys are dropping off the map, and the mobile guys don't want to deal with these, with Dodges and BMWs. All of the mobile guys in our area are like, nope, we don't program those anymore. Too much of a hassle. Which, that's what Dodge and BMW want. They want them all to come back to their dealership. So, anyway, guys, if I sound a little aggravated, it's because I am. I apologize for that, but this thing's done for now. I'm not going any further with it. If something more does come of it, then I'll be sure and let you guys know. Old Toyotas never die. They just go to sleep forever. This one's got a problem where it runs rough after he puts gas in it, which I can't see any correlation here, but we'll see if there's a check engine light on. We'll see what the purge system's doing, and we'll see if the canister is saturated with fuel by popping a hose off. But first we're going to check it for codes. You know, we're all doing the best we can rowing our own boat because of the banjos and stuff. And geez, he's making a lot of noise over there. This is a 2008 Toyota Corolla with 199,336 miles. Look at that son of a gun. This is, it's right around life expectancy for one of these cars. 200,000 miles. People will still buy them. All right, let's see if there's any codes in here. We got the codes up. Oh, look at this son of a gun. The check engine light's not on, I might have you know. Got all kinds of purge codes and control system codes and history codes and current codes. And this is a Toyota. I mean, well, that's the first problem. At around 200,000 miles, the emblems tend to eject, and that's when the problems start. Once it doesn't know it's a Toyota, then it starts breaking. There's your problem. Either that or there's something going wrong in the evap system and the purge valve. Go under the hood and see if that purge valve is purging when it's supposed to be non-purging. Pull the feed line from the fuel vapor canister to the purge valve off, and it doesn't feel like there's any vacuum now. Let's get a little lick of the old finger. I don't feel any vacuum. If this thing got a problem with fuel saturation, then gas will come out of here. But gas doesn't come out of here. Someone might be lying. And I don't mean like tigers and lions. I mean like telling fibs. It's one of the 10 commandments, you know. Don't lie to the mechanic. I think that's how it goes. Look at this thing. What? Look at this catastrophe. The filler neck is lowered in the gas tank. What could possibly go wrong? Come on, Toyota, you know better than that. Talk to a mechanic when you engineers are making stuff, you dummies. All right, this is the Elantra. We're back on the Elantra from yesterday. They approved all the work. AC actuator, which involves more testing. I've been trying to back probe this actuator to get it to work, and I'm getting minus 10 volts because obviously my leads are backwards, but that's no problem. The motor works both directions, so it switches positive and negative to work the motor left and right, or on and off, or up and down. So trying to back probe it and get a reading. If I have the connector plugged in, I have no voltage. If I unplug it, I get 10 volts. So, and I work the control knob, nothing happens because it needs to see feedback on the feedback circuit in the actuator to let it try to change directions. If it doesn't see any feedback on the third wire, which according to the diagram is gray and orange, if it doesn't see that feedback, it's not going to let you do anything. So I pulled it out of the car to go to try to test it and run it on the battery myself. The first two leads are the control leads. You see by the connector, they're yellow and white. And when you look at this connector here, two connectors, first two wires are white and yellow. So you know it's these first two pins. So let's go out to the battery and see if the actuator will run. Usually what happens on these is the gears either strip or the motor's short and the motors don't work. So. Just a tiny arc. I just get a teeny tiny arc in there and nothing happens, so you know this actuator is bad. So one of the other things we're doing in this Elantra is a valve cover gasket, and we're doing all 4 TPMS sensors, radiator hoses. Be free. Ugh. Come on, you're coming with me. Just don't crack it. No, somebody likes crack, but we don't like it here. Oh, geez, man, this thing is brittle. Usually comes off easier if you get all the bolts, I find. I don't see any bolts back there. Flawless victory. Look at that. That's been well maintained. I'm happy to see that. That makes me happy. Come on, guys, don't you want to go too? Ah. That last little one, that last little chunk just doesn't want to go. It's happy where it's at. I win. About to use the new short shot system on this job right here. I hope someone's making more money using these things because they're a pain in the ass. Actually lasts a lot longer than I thought it was gonna. I thought I was gonna spray this brake clean thing and it was gonna be out of air pressure in like 10 sprays. It actually lasts pretty good. Oh. Gravity check on aisle 3. Goodness gracious, that's terrible. There's not a lot of room for my chubby little fingers in here, but that's not going to stop me from trying. It's slippery. That's what she said. Why is everything an innuendo with this guy? Come on. You know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of how long the dance continues. Look at that. See that? Now it's not in the engine. And I feel like a winner. I gotta feed this all around a little bit at a time, show it a little love. These little metal tabs will hold it. Look at that thing. I wish every car was easy to work on. It makes a lot of noise. Wish every car was easy. Oh. Alright, now he's messing with me. Wish every car was as easy to work on as a Hyundai Elantra. Super easy to work on. Of course, it pays less labor when it's easy to work on. So, you know, it's all a little give and take. Silicone down here. Onto the hoses. Alright, customers here waiting and wandering around the parking lot. I'm not going to get to film it very much, but I'm going to put this radiator in this Altima. It's gonna happen pretty quick for you guys. See, I told you guys it was gonna happen quick. I was like, what, 3 seconds? I know how to do a damn radiator. Piece of cake. Got a little coolant in there and everything. Oh, here comes the customer. Why is it that the only tools that keep breaking on me is Snap-on? Shouldn't this be molded with the teeth this way in the handle? I don't know. They pressed it on afterwards. The last time I complained about it, he pushed it back in for me and handed it back. It's fixed. Quality. Mm-hmm. You too, man. This thing must be sealed tight. It is trying to push the coolant back out already. I hadn't even started. Gotta put your pinky out. That way you have a much more delicate pour. This little tiny radiator is probably not even going to take the gallon.
Here's what's trending.
We're bringing this tire into surgery. We're going to go ahead and put a TPMS sensor in it. All 4 wheels are getting fresh ones. You want to break the bead, you got to let the air out, right? This threads are a little boogered up. Now, we bought this tire machine really cheap. It has an air leak in there, and instead of fixing it, we put this special valve. It's going to start leaking air in a second. I would mark the weights and the tire if I was going to break both beads, but I'm only breaking one, so no need to mark it. Make sure the rubber's not on the wheel. The replacement ones are going to be rubberized. Getting it in without the proper valve stem insertion tool. So I'm going to use the old cap and very gently with my needle nose try to pull it in the wheel. A little bit of soap. That'll help. Show this thing a little lubrication. They like that. That way nobody gets hurt. That's a dirt bike going by on the highway. That's pretty funny. Depends on if it's your kid or not, but there you go, boom. Bonk. Now program these after I do all 4. This one I had to dismount the tire because I opened it up and the sensor wasn't on the valve stem. So I marked where the weight goes and where the valve stem goes. And here's the other. I fished this out of the tire. I don't want to leave it in there bouncing around. That wouldn't be cool. Turn off the air. Man, this GoPro eats batteries. Had this thing fully charged this morning. Shot about 45 minutes worth of footage, and the battery's at 30%. It's terrible. How do you like that action angle? I'm gonna try not to teabag you guys. You got the new torque wrench. You guys fell. Sorry about that. Torque wrench cam hasn't really had the bugs worked out yet. Button this new one in here and we'll give her a try. Check the door. Door moves good, all that's good. So Let's see here. It goes like that. There it goes, boom. So that's on hot. There we go. Over to cold. You guys can see that moving, I'm guessing, right? Cold. Perfect. So, yeah, finish putting this glove box back in. This one's fixed. Let's try this again. See, now it says transfer failure again. The second time, the TPMS lights went out and came back on. So we're gonna try it a third time. Tool was a failure. Tried it 4 times. I think that's about the limit. I think I went above and beyond. So now we're gonna get out the big guns. Shit's about to get real. I mean, our stuff is about to get real. Wheel sensor ID writing. Stay with me now. Look at that. I noticed my TPMS light went off on the dash. You guys saw my communication video. Oh, by the way, we're doing the thermostat housing on this Dodge Avenger, but you guys saw my communication video that came out last night. Today's Thursday, but yeah, the 2008 Toyota Corolla. Lady brought it in and said, this is what I was told, that it runs rough after you put gas in it. So I tested it, had some evap codes, I showed you that in the video. Never could get it to act up though. I can feel motor mounts slightly rough. It's got 200,000 miles on it. I took it up, put gas in it, no change, no new codes. Drove it around a little bit, pulled it up here, checked for pending codes, none. Didn't seem to run bad. She called them again, said, oh, it idles rough. It feels like it idles rough. I'm like, well, she's probably feeling the motor mounts slightly bad on the motor mounts. This car's got 200,000 miles on it. So I'm thinking they're gonna give them an estimate for mounts for like $1,000 and then we'll be done with it. Let's get on this thermostat housing. That is quite the conglomeration of nonsense, isn't it? There's like 10 hoses and 2 thermostats in there, and there's all kinds of silly stuff going on. Oh, look at that thing. It looks like something off the space station. The finest Chinesium money can buy. Let's see, is it made in China? There it is. Dorman, made in China. This shouldn't be too bad. That's what she said. Man, that's easy. It took like 5 minutes to get that thing off. Beep. 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 Put this hose back where it goes, so we'll have the proper air filtration going on. She's gurgling it down. Getting ready to button up for tonight. I think I'll road test this one in the morning. Alright guys, it's Friday and the Suburban's back. Oop. Gravity check on aisle 7. We're going to do the sway bar links on this Suburban and those leaking air shocks. If you watch my week in the shop video where I sprayed it with soapy water and they bubbled, I think it was about 3 weeks ago. You guys that watch my week in the shop videos, you're going to get a sneak peek of my tool haul coming up. Tool haul is going to be after the week in the shop, so you'll get to see Big Bertha, my electric Big Bertha, in use just as a little thank you. This is not the mid-torque. It's going to be overkill for sway bar links, but I just want to use it. Yeah, this gun has a problem loosening this. We got trouble. This thing is heavy. As I suspected, there's nothing but a thing chicken wing. One got my 3/8 because I think the 1/2 inch is overkill anyway. You guys move around a lot, don't you? Sit still. I'm going to give you some ADD medicine. About 1 inch of threads at the top. You don't want, a lot of people try to bottom these out, but it uses a locking nut. All you got to do is tighten it so you see the bushings start to compress and stop. You don't have to crush the bushings all the way. That just shortens their lifespan. Yeah, these rear shocks, it looks like the upper bolt is blocked by the wheel well liner. The lower bolt's easy. These airlines can be a little frustrating to try to unclip, but what I found over the years is if you just turn this clip without turning the line, then the clip lets go. These are leaking so there won't be any air in there. And then just turn it back. The bolts look like it's trapped in the frame. You got to take the nut off and the bolt goes towards the frame, it looks like, to get free the shock. If I go too short, I hit the frame. If I go too long, I hit the ride control module. I think I got me the perfect setup. A Mac socket, a snap-on 3-inch extension. does that look? Good? All right. Giggity, giggity. I can just get my fingers on the bolt. I remember when shocks used to be easy. I didn't think they'd find a way to make rear shocks on a truck hard. That's it, 85 foot-pounds. Click. Oh, that is so easy. That was an actual click too. The real deal. I could even fit my fat head in there, no problem. I didn't think it was going to loosen that. It loosened both of them. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with that. Ta-da! I mean, no matter what vehicles we get in the parking lot, I'd have to swear that these things breed, because they come in packs. I mean, they must be, are they making babies while we're waiting to work on them? They're always piled up in threes. You guys might remember this Monte Carlo Super Sporter, the high performance one I did all the intake work on and stuff. That's all still nice and dry. But the customer said, I see an oil leak. What'd you guys do? You missed something. The that quality oil pressure sender we put in there, brand new part, it's shooting oil out of the top of it where the connector goes in, so it's spraying oil all over the thing. I mean it's obviously a mess. There's other little leaks that he declined last time, but the new part is bad. I had to put 4 quarts of oil in it, so for an $11 part. I wish they would buy decent quality parts. Look at all those fire ants. Don't step in that by mistake. They're probably up in this Mercedes now. What we're really here for is look at this Isuzu NPR. This customer states, my engine seems noisy. These trucks are really bad about sitting and idling for long periods of time, but they don't change the oil for 3,000 miles, which in real life is about 50,000 miles worth of runtime. Let's fire it up and see what we hear. I hear belts and I hear some rattling valve train. Normally I wouldn't run it until I check the oil, but they drove it here. So I'm gonna drive it over to the shop. Customer's inspecting our work. Got a floor shifter. It's like a hot rod. He's been looking at it for about 10 minutes trying to make sure we did everything we sold him or whatever. It's one of those things I find kind of funny, because if you knew a lot about what you were looking at, wouldn't you try to fix it yourself probably? I don't know. Maybe just busy. Maybe he's a busy mechanic. Oil lights on, check engine lights on. Uh-oh, stop horsing around. Pop this cab up and get a look at that oil level. If you want to lift the cabs up on these Isuzus, you push this safety release, and then you can flip the lever up. 2 hands. Latch the hinge and you're good to go. And everything in the cab slides to the front. It's got the venerable LS truck motor in it, 6 liter I believe. The belt is squeaking because it's pretty worn out looking at the back of the belt. The teeth are starting to get a little sharp inside. That's how you really know they're worn, but when the back's all messed up like this, those are actually signs of dry rotting on the belt. The belt is squeaky because the belt is tired. It might only have 2,000 miles on it, like I said. Really like 50, 60,000 miles worth of use. Brutal. Oh my God. Needless to say, they're not changing their oil when they're supposed to. Last time they come in, there's no oil in the dipstick. Last time they came in, I told them, do not go by mileage. You guys need to change the oil in this thing like once a month, but they don't listen. You know, they know better. They saw some YouTube mechanic telling them otherwise. So I'm gonna at least put some oil in it and get it quieted down, but it's gonna need an oil change. It won't hurt to do that. It's gonna work a little bit like a flush. I'll put oil in it, run it a little bit, see, make sure it quiets down, and then we'll change the oil and it'll take some of the gunk and goop out of it. Makes me sad. I'm gonna make a, what do you guys think about it? That makes me sad shirt. Let's go ahead and give this thing about 4 quarts of delicious goodness. It holds 6, I believe. The oil light came on, so I know it's pretty low. It probably has a quart in it at the most. You know what? I'm gonna live on the edge and put all 4 quarts in. What do you think about that? It's windy out, so I can't do the long distance drip. That's enough of that. All right, I'm gonna go around and fire this thing up. It'll fire with the cab up like this too, so let's go ahead and do that. quieter. It's amazing when there's oil in the lifters and stuff, they get happy. They like it. I'm gonna let this thing run a minute. Then I'm gonna check the oil again. Then I'll probably let the cab down, throw my scanner on and see why the check engine light's on. This is a commercial account, so you know that all the employees are angry. You gotta push up on it, release this safety, and then you can tilt it back to shut it. Today's safe driving tip is don't drive around with bottles of water trapped underneath your pedals. You guys want to see something funny on this Isuzu NPR? I'm doing the automatic ID, so the snap-on scanner asked me, what brand? And I'm just going, it's a Chevrolet, I don't care what they say, right? I put Chevrolet in. So the snap-on scanner goes, no, this is a GMC truck, not a Chevrolet. I'm like, it is? It says Isuzu on the steering wheel. It's a GMC, not a Chevrolet, but it's an Isuzu, and the automatic ID, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's funny. All right, let's get it correct here, huh? Just for fun, I went back and went to Isuzu instead of GMC, and Isuzu starts at 2008, so I guess I have to put it as a GMC. You can't make this stuff up, folks. All right, let's see what the automatic ID says together. Automatic ID is communicating and da-da-da-da. Now it's telling me to make sure what I do. Well, now it wants to know what kind of GMC it is. That's going to be rough. I don't know. Let's put in let's put it as a GMC Yukon with a 6.2 liter engine. Codes. You got to tell it 3 times. You want to see the codes. Camshaft timing code. There's no oil in it. Makes sense. Oxygen sensor delayed response. Lean bank 2. Something's starting to happen with an O2 sensor. Could be a lot of things going on with the cam timing causing these codes too. So who knows for sure. I'm just going to clear them out. We're going to drive it a little bit, see what happens, see what comes back. That's what it looks like. Look at that. Customer that said $75 his friend would fix it, or somebody would. I guess he changed his mind. So now we're going to put the exhaust in. I cut one off with the old cut-off wheel. It took forever because the Milwaukee keeps shutting off, but it did it. I'm going to try to salvage this flange, otherwise it's converter time. When management comes over, you just pretend you can't hear them and you keep working, and usually they just walk away. It's like when a bear comes to your picnic, you just got to try to ignore them and play dead. It stops anytime you put any kind of load on it. You got to just let it spin without loading it. Kind of sad. Oh, battery's dead. It was fully charged. I cut 1 bolt and a half a bolt and the battery's dead. I left a negative review and they contacted me and said, send it back if you have a problem. I'm like, I think it's a normal function of the tool. Let me know if I'm wrong. And I never heard from them again. We're about to do the I don't want to get out the torch dance. We just run around in a circle until the pipe breaks. Oh, hang on to your rag. Watch out for sharp metal. There you go. And a Corvette out there. Customer brought it in. It's like 4:30. Said, you guys gonna look at my truck, my Corvette today? Said no. So he told me I could wait for it. Said, oh yeah, you brought it at 4:30 on a Friday. No, can't do it. Sorry. A lot of cats are gonna get some money from the scrap guy this week. Yeah. We don't have a chrome tip. Maybe I'll get some silver paint. So it doesn't turn rusty. Finally be able to contain all 155 horsepowers. That's what makes it even funnier. See if we have achieved new car status. Once your hands are dry, you got to dispose of your paper towels properly. If you listen closely, you can hear it running. Oh, it's running, trust me. Nothing like it was before. Alright guys, that was an interesting week for sure. I hope it was fun for you guys like it was for me. Took care of a bunch of people, made some money, Lots of new cars are back on the road. That's a good week. Episode 40, that's part 2, wrapping it up. Make sure you hit that like button down at the bottom. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. I upload a ton of videos every week. It's been a pleasure having you. See you guys in the next video. You're awesome.